Okay, I stayed up all night long and played Star Rail and got at least 10 hours of gameplay in already. I want to just give an early, because I haven't completed the game fully. It's only the very first day, but I want to give a first impression on how I'm feeling about the game because it's kind of surprisingly fun for me, and let's just walk you through it. So Star Rail is essentially Genshin Impact if Genshin Impact was done as a gacha game. So if you are a fan of games like Raid Shadow Legends, for instance, gacha turn-based type of games, Summoners War, these types of games, you might actually like this game. Its primary selling point of the game is its open world sort of ability. Yes, there is a linear storyline, but there's also sort of open world side quests and etc. you can do. Its variety of characters available, its story, and good voice acting. Now, I myself am not necessarily somebody who enjoys a lot of story in games. However, if you do like story in the games, this one is actually quite good. It's also very well voice acted, so I think you will enjoy it. The character design is pretty good as well. I think that for the most part, they've done a decent enough job at not making it extremely off-putting with the characters just being like barely wearing anything. I think this, these shorts are some of like the most obvious examples, but there's nothing ridiculous here. Like this is all fairly reasonable, you can see as far as the characters go. So you're not going to like play the game and feel like extremely embarrassed when you're walking around in public or anything like that. Which I know sounds like a hilarious point to make in first impressions or like gameplay type of review, but it's the reality of gacha games we live in this day and age. Sometimes these games are ridiculous to the point of they almost seem like inappropriate or kind of embarrassing to even be playing in public. Now, to actually get the characters, it's a pose system exactly like it would be from Genshin Impact. Basically, there's banners. You can pull on the banners. These have chances of giving you things with pity systems implemented in them. And then the way the characters actually work themselves is that characters effectively have skills. Now, it's a turn-based game, so skills that like increase your movement speed, or I should say like your turn order, stuff like that are very important. But also AoEs, etc., are quite important as well. It depends upon what you actually want to build for a team, and it feels like there's enough variety in the characters. Like I'm playing free to play, for instance, and my buddy Karmo was playing free to play as well. And we both have 4-man squads, which you have 4 people in your party. We both have 4-man squads that are completely different from each other. So there is actually enough variety in gameplay and enough free pose, by the way, that you should be able to get an assortment of characters and still be able to have some selection and have reasons to actually use each one of the characters and have them work at different effective levels. We've both been able to go through the campaign. We've been playing the game fine with having totally different characters that we're using. And the main character actually seems quite good in the game as well. The main character being basically your hero. He's effectively a legendary, he's the rare one like all of them. And you actually get the version of Constellations in this game, which is basically duplicate type of system. You get these fairly early and fairly free. They're 100% free. So you can sort of max out your main character for free, which is nice. Now, your primary level in the game is basically your Trailblazer level, which is like a Venture Rake from Genshin. It's what determines if you can even do some quests. For instance, if I actually go and look at the missions, I have to be, in order to continue the main story, 24 Trailblazer level. So there's multiple ways to get Trailblazer experience. You can do side missions, side quests. You can go find chests around the map. Like if you actually look at the map, which is up here, you can see, it'll tell you how many chests are found in the area. So you can find the hidden treasure, which will give you experience as well. But you can also spend this Trailblaze power, which is effectively resin from Genshin Impact, which is going to allow you to both farm important things like hero ascension materials, which will allow you to get your character's max level up, but also the materials to level your character itself, as well as the materials to ascend and level your weapons. So effectively, it is exactly identical in progression to Genshin Impact. The events seem to be decently generous, actually. The events will give you free characters. There's a lot of free 4-star heroes you can get. There's a lot of free pose you can get. This is 10, 20, 30, 40 free pose just from this one permanent novice experience event. And the Star of the Banner gives you a guaranteed 5-star by level 50. So there's an argument for rerolling in the game, as well as you're guaranteed to at least get one other legendary character other than your main, which is quite nice. And also because it's a gacha, there's things like dispatching, so you can send heroes out, which will go and get rewards for you. You can claim after so many amount of hours. There is a friends list in which you can lend out heroes to your team, your friends. So if you have like a well friend and you're free to play and you need the help, you can have them on your friends list and you can borrow one of their characters. There's also a gearing system, a relic system, which is very much like other gachas. There's only 4 spots here, 2 more yet to unlock as you progress through the missions. There is set effects, much like Genshin Impact, much like other gacha games. It is very similar in that regard. Now, as far as the actual combat goes, the combat is fairly enjoyable. You have a 4-man team you can set up. You have pre-set up teams that you can set up to in case you want to have different teams for different types of things. You can use quick setup button, etc. And as you get into the actual match here, it is a fairly quick loading screen. You can see there's very few actual major loading screens in the game, which is actually kind of nice. A lot of times when you teleport, you actually don't load at all. Now, there is fast pace. This is what normal looks like before you unlock 2x speed or auto. You're going to have to play manually for quite a while, and which is fine because you actually need to learn how the game works. And this is sort of the pacing of the game. I'm using my animations here, get my abilities set up. Got my combo now, and I'm going to attack. Now, there's braking systems, which effectively you get different effects for braking them. I'll have to do a separate video on the brakes in terms of guide for that one. But those will be essentially stun people depending upon what type of brake you do and have additional effects. This one's a follow-up attack, like a combo with my character. The actual graphics are pretty good in terms of the combat gameplay. I thought the animations were pretty cool. Can get a little repetitive because this is what it ends up looking like once you actually get a little bit farther in the game. You're playing it on auto and on 2x speed, so you are seeing these animations sort of over and over again, and there is no way to skip ultimate animations, but it's fine. It's still fairly quick. The map is fairly full, so you're constantly collecting and finding things. And very often when you're talking to people in the side missions, they will actually give you rewards too, which makes it feel like the world is worth exploring. Your dailies are going to consist of doing your assignments and your guide over and over again. If you look here, this is what your dailies is. You get good rewards, including your essentially your adventurer's rank, called your trailblazer level in this game. And it also gives you the premium currency, which is hyper important. And this is what your daily is. You have to complete a certain amount of them. And like, for instance, I did these 4, so you don't have to do all of them. You can just pick the ones you want. And then you also have your resin, which replenishes. It's 10 per hour, so it's effectively 18 hours. Every 18 hours, you have a full of this. This is called a Trailblaze Power in this game, but it's effectively resin. So you're going to be using that to farm materials that you need to level up your characters, etc. every single day. So that's basically what the gameplay loop looks like. They also have this thing, which is pretty interesting, called the Simulated Universe, which is effectively like a Galactic War from Star Wars Galaxy Heroes or an Endless Tower type of situation, and that gives you really good rewards as well, both premium currency and other rewards. So your first week you'll do story, and then you're going to get into a gameplay loop of rising your equilibrium level by rising your trailblazer level from doing your dailies, which will allow you to unlock the ability after you hit certain levels to go to the next equilibrium level, which is basically like your world tier, or the difficulty of your world effectively, which goes up and increases where your character can be ascended to, and which ascension tokens can drop from dungeons, etc. So you slowly are kind of grinding through different difficulty tiers. Now, the weapon system is pretty cool. It is a little annoying that the weapons don't use their special effect if they're not tied with the same class, but that does actually make you be smart with your decisions, and I have definitely made mistakes in terms of how many and which ones I have leveled, so you have to be very careful with your weapon choices. They also have a pretty good tutorial system that kind of walks you through everything in the game. So if you have any confusion, you can always go into the tutorial and see everything very easily about what's going on with the game. I actually think the game's quite enjoyable so far. If you're wondering my opinion of it, it's like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. It's a pretty good game. I'm not normally massively into the giant anime kind of aesthetic, but I do like these turn-based gacha games. I do think that the character creation is simple enough to be understandable easily, but also complicated enough to give nuance to your team builds. It does look like a variety of builds can be used. I'm actually enjoying myself a good deal. So if you're interested, this is absolutely a game you could download and play. And I'm going to continue to cover it, and I will have other guides on the channel. So if you would like to see more of your boy, consider liking the video to help me out, or subscribe in order to see more of this channel. Love you all, and I'll see you on the next Star Rail video.